I'm Katrina. 3 years after that fateful wedding, I'm sitting in my cozy apartment, looking at the photos from my friend's wedding I recently coordinated. It was a beautiful event, stress-free, and everyone was happy. The contrast with my sister's wedding couldn't be starker. My sister, Lily, is 2 years older than me. We grew up in a well-to-do family in the suburbs. Our parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were always very status-conscious. Dad was a successful lawyer, and Mom was a socialite who loved to host parties. Lily was the apple of their eyes. With her long, wavy blonde hair and big blue eyes, she was the life of the party wherever she went. Teachers adored her, and friends flocked to her. I, on the other hand, was the practical one. I had straight black hair and brown eyes. I was good at organizing things and making sure everything ran smoothly. While Lily painted and danced, I organized my books and made schedules. I was the one who reminded Lily of her homework and found her lost things. Lily landed a job at a high-end fashion magazine after graduating from college. Her Instagram was full of glamorous events and trendy outfits. I studied business and worked in project management for a medium-sized firm. One Christmas, Lily announced her engagement to Alexander Montgomery, a wealthy heir from an old and prestigious family. His family owned large estates in the countryside and had a lot of influence in the social circle. Dad raised his glass and said, "Finally, someone worthy of our Lily." The wedding planning started right away. Lily was excited, looking at Pinterest boards and bridal magazines. She wanted an elegant and sophisticated wedding that would impress Alexander's family. The guest list quickly grew to 250 people, including Alexander's business partners and social connections. During our first family planning meeting in February, Mom said, "This wedding has to be perfect. The Montgomerys will be judging us. We need to show them that Lily comes from a family of class." Lily nodded, saying, "I want it to be timeless, like a fairy tale." When it came to the actual planning, everyone looked at me. Mom said, "You're so organized, Katrina. You have great attention to detail. Lily needs someone she can trust to make her vision come true." Lily smiled at me and said, "You know my taste best. I'll focus on being the bride, and you handle the coordination. It'll be a great sister collaboration." But I soon realized that collaboration meant I would do all the work while Lily just approved or rejected my suggestions. The tasks were endless: finding the perfect venue, coordinating with caterers, arranging flowers, scheduling photographers and videographers, designing and mailing invitations, handling transportation, and much more. Mom said, "Lily is so busy with her job, and Alexander is in the middle of a big business deal. You're between jobs right now, so you have the time to make this wedding amazing." Being between jobs meant I'd just left a toxic workplace where I was underpaid and overworked. I'd saved money for a proper job search, but to my family, it meant I was available for unpaid wedding labor. Dad said, "Think of it as your wedding gift to Lily. Your expertise and dedication are priceless." 6 months before the wedding, I threw myself into the planning. I spent hours researching venues. After weeks of looking, I found a beautiful old mansion called Rosewood Manor that could accommodate 250 guests. It was booked solid for the next 2 years, but I called every week for 4 months until a cancellation opened up Lily's preferred date. I spent weeks tasting different catering menus, comparing appetizers, main courses, and desserts. I negotiated contracts with vendors, coordinated delivery schedules, and made special arrangements for guests with dietary restrictions. Lily would come in occasionally, usually while on the phone or in a hurry, and say things like, "The flowers need to be more elegant," or "I've changed my mind about the color scheme." Each change meant renegotiating contracts, making new proposals, and having more coordination meetings. When I mentioned the extra costs, Mom waved it off, saying, "Budget isn't the main thing. Lily's happiness and our family's reputation are more important." 3 months before the wedding, my workload became a full-time job and then some. I was working 70 to 80 hours a week, dealing with vendors, managing the guest list, and making quick decisions. Meanwhile, Lily was enjoying her bridal showers, bachelorette parties, and romantic getaways with Alexander. Lily's maid of honor, Sophie, told me, "You're amazing at this. You should be a professional wedding planner." But I wasn't getting paid. I had to cover all the costs, like gas for vendor meetings, increased phone bills, meals during long planning days, and parking fees. When I asked for reimbursement, Dad got annoyed and said, "Family doesn't charge family. You're gaining valuable experience." 2 months before the wedding, Alexander's mother, Mrs. Montgomery, got involved. She was a very demanding woman who was used to getting what she wanted. She had opinions about every aspect of the wedding. She wanted the menu changed to suit her and some of the Montgomery family members' dietary preferences. She also insisted on more elaborate floral arrangements, premium alcohol for the bar, and high-end linens for the tables. Mom told me, "Handle whatever Mrs. Montgomery wants. We need to make a good impression on the Montgomerys. It'll affect Lily's future." Mrs. Montgomery's requests meant renegotiating multiple contracts, finding specialized items on short notice, and working with stretched thin suppliers. When the extra costs reached $20,000, Mrs. Montgomery said with a fake smile, "I'm sure your family can handle these small improvements. We want this to be unforgettable." When I tried to talk to Lily about the budget, she was dismissive. "Just figure it out. Mrs. Montgomery's happiness is important for my marriage," she said without looking up from her wedding dress fitting. 1 month before the wedding, Lily had a breakdown over the bridesmaid dresses. She changed the color 3 times, and now the dresses had to be reordered with expensive rush shipping. The bridesmaids were angry, the seamstress was overwhelmed, and everyone expected me to fix it. "This is your responsibility," Lily sobbed. "You're supposed to make everything perfect." I worked 18-hour days for a week, coordinating new dress orders, arranging fittings, and calming down the irritated bridesmaids. When 2 bridesmaids threatened to quit, I had to call them personally and promise everything would be okay. 3 weeks before the wedding, the head chef at Rosewood Manor quit suddenly. The new chef wanted to change the entire menu. This meant new tastings, revised contracts, and coordinating with a kitchen team that didn't know our requirements. When I tried to involve Lily in the menu decisions, she said, "You know what I like. Just handle it." But when the new menu came, Lily hated it. "This isn't what I asked for," she complained. I explained about the chef change and budget constraints, but she didn't want to listen. "Figure it out," she demanded. 2 weeks before the wedding, the flower supplier called with bad news. Their main greenhouse had been damaged by a storm, and about half of Lily's flower orders were unavailable. I spent 3 days calling every florist within a 120-mile radius, trying to find replacement flowers. The few suppliers with enough inventory charged high emergency rates, and many couldn't guarantee the exact flowers Lily wanted. When I finally found replacements, the cost was 50% higher than the original quote. Lily was furious. "Why didn't you have backup plans?" she shouted. 1 week before the wedding, Alexander's best man called. 3 groomsmen had gained or lost weight and needed new tuxedo sizes. The formal wear shop needed 72-hour notice for alterations, and the measurements had to be perfect for the photos. I drove to pick up the groomsmen, arranged emergency fittings, and paid triple the normal rate for rush alterations. When one groomsman didn't like his tuxedo, I spent an afternoon negotiating for a replacement while keeping the wedding's aesthetic. 5 days before the wedding, the luxury transportation company called. One of the buses they'd reserved for the bridal party had a mechanical problem and wouldn't be fixed in time. The replacement bus was smaller and less elegant. Lily had a meltdown. "Everything is falling apart. Why can't you handle these simple things?" she cried. 3 days before the wedding, I was running on 4 hours of sleep a night. I was constantly on the phone, confirming with vendors, solving last-minute guest accommodation issues, and trying to calm Lily down. Mom saw me at the rehearsal dinner preparations and said, "You look terrible. You should rest." Rest? I hadn't had a full day off in 6 months. I'd sacrificed job interviews, my social life, and my mental health to make Lily's wedding perfect. At the rehearsal dinner, Lily gave a speech thanking everyone but me. After the dinner, I sat in my car, looking at the 20 new messages on my phone about the next day's logistics. I knew I had to be at the venue by 6 a.m. to oversee everything. I'd given 6 months of my life to this wedding. I'd absorbed financial costs, dealt with stress, and sacrificed my own opportunities. But to my family, I was invisible. I opened my laptop and started transferring all the vendor information to the venue coordinator, Mom, and Sophie. I sent a message to the family group chat saying, "An emergency has come up. All vendor info has been sent. Everything is ready for tomorrow. At 4 a.m. On Lily's wedding day, while she was sleeping in her luxury hotel room, I was checking in for a flight to Bali. I'd used my job search savings to book this trip. I decided my mental health and self-respect were more important than being ignored at another family event. I turned off my phone as the plane took off. When I turned my phone back on a few days later, I got a flood of messages from Lily, Mom, and Dad. Lily's message said, "You ruined my wedding. Everything fell apart without you. How could you do this to your family?" I spent 2 weeks in Bali, enjoying the temples, beaches, and culture. I finally slept well at night without worrying about vendors. When I got home, the family drama was at its peak. Lily refused to talk to me. Mom took Lily's side, and Dad was torn between scolding me and trying to make peace. The wedding had been a disaster. The ceremony started 2 hours late because no one knew how to set up the sound system. Half of the centerpieces didn't make it to the tables, and the appetizers were delayed. The photos showed a stressed-out bride, confused guests, and the Montgomerys' disappointment. 6 months after the wedding, Lily and Alexander got divorced. According to family gossip, Mrs. Montgomery never got over the embarrassment of the chaotic wedding. Mom said, maybe if you'd stayed, their marriage would have worked. But maybe Lily should have learned that a perfect wedding doesn't mean a perfect marriage and that treating family like servants creates resentment. After that, I never offered to plan another family event. When Dad's 65th birthday was coming up and Mom dropped hints, I declined and booked a trip to Japan. Over time, things changed. Without me always stepping in, my family had to face their own limitations. Lily struggled to manage her life after the divorce. She had to plan her apartment move on her own, which was frustrating for her. One day at a family dinner, Lily said, "I guess I never realized how much work goes into planning events. Everything seemed to just happen when you were around." It wasn't a full apology, but it was the closest I'd ever gotten from her. Mom also started to understand how difficult event planning was. She said, "I don't know how you kept track of everything. There are so many details." Dad's attitude towards me changed too. He said, "Maybe we relied on you too much. We didn't realize how much work it was." My life changed for the better. I landed a job as an operations director at a tech startup. My wedding planning experience was actually useful in coordinating business projects. I learned to set boundaries and ask for fair compensation. A year after the wedding disaster, Sophie called me. She was getting engaged and wanted to hire me as her wedding planner at market rates. "After seeing what happened at Lily's wedding, I know how much skill and effort it takes," she said. I took the job and had a great time. Sophie's wedding was a success, and it led to more referrals. 2 years after my disappearance, our family relationships reached a new balance. Lily and I were cordial but distant. Mom and Dad started to make real requests when they needed help and were willing to share costs and responsibilities. The whole experience taught me the difference between being helpful and being taken advantage of. Sometimes, the best way to show your worth is to be strategically absent. And I'm glad I finally learned that lesson.